So here are my thoughts on the MCU. Back in 2008, I was totally in Iron Man. I even liked Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, meh. Like Thor. I can go down the list, but I was pretty much invested. I watched everything that they had to offer. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the TV show, not so much. I was keeping up with everything, even the Disney Plus shows. But yeah, it of course hit the fever pitch when we had Infinity War, Endgame. At the time, it was all about the hype. Saw it in the theater with everybody screaming at the crowd. You know, everything was awesome when the Avengers Assemble happened and whatnot. And yeah, and then after that, just like everybody, it kind of dropped off a cliff. And movie after movie was kind of like meh, subpar. The action this was still there, but yeah, like a lot of people say, it became like cookie cutter, factory assembly line kind of movie making. And the Black Widow went straight to Disney Plus, and she was already dead by then in the MCU timeline. The multiverses, and then basically what you do is you get a good one every once in a while, like No Way Home with Spider-Man. That was pretty cool. But then we had the idea that Doctor Strange in the Mouth of Madness or whatever would have been like a continuation, but then you could totally tell the difference, or like a steep difference between the Doctor Strange and Spider-Man and then the Doctor Strange in this. And then it was just like introducing characters that are, C tier, D level, just not even interesting. And that just a lot of trailing off, a lot of homework you have to do to keep up with the shows and the movies and the characters. I don't even know who the Avengers would be now. Like the Eternals, they split the Eternals even, so there's like what, two or three Eternals, then they got to find the others, and do they even care anymore? The Inhumans, they didn't even try to bother putting in there, and then now we got the X-Men they're coming with, and it's just like, okay, all this before Doctor Doom and next year. Good luck. I don't know. And being I've become like I, okay, let me back up. So during the comic phase back in the day, I would get, X-Men comics and, Death of Superman for DC and stuff like that. But yeah, Marvel got me with X-Men, and then, Spider-Man, and, the classics, Incredible Hulk, Captain America. Captain America is a big one. But then basically, we had the cartoons, the 90s, the Fox stuff. And then, like, I'm a big fan of the Marvel Mania theme restaurant that was like there for less than a year at Universal Studios in LA. That was fun. It was just, yeah, it was like the underground thing. Cause there was like that Sunbow cartoon back in the 80s. That was awesome. X-Men kind of paved the way for me. And then, what happened after that, just, the movie finally, when it hit in 2008, it was kind of like, we were dipping our toes in movies with like The Punisher with Dolph Lundgren and Blade, which was awesome. And but with the MCU, like I always liked Iron Man, but he was like mostly in video games and stuff up until that point. Capcom fighting games, you had your Marvel superheroes and stuff, and X-Men versus Street Fighter. So it was kind of like, the nerd's passion. And then it became mainstream with the MCU with Iron Man and that and whatnot. And then, I really like Captain America First Avenger. Thor, I was never the biggest Thor fan, but he was like the lesser of the Avengers up until Ragnarok, and I really liked Ragnarok. And then because it was funny, it was fresh, and it felt like a live action goofy He-Man, kind of like, considering we'll never get a proper He-Man because it was like on a foreign world with weird characters and big arena battles and stuff like that. And so Ragnarok was cool. Anyway, yeah, brought back Thor. And this will be a controversial opinion, but I never thought Hawkeye or Black Widow deserved to be Avengers, considering they never had really superpowers other than archery and assassin skills. But whatever. And then when the Avengers came out, I enjoyed it. I'm not okay. This is also controversial. I'm not the biggest Whedon fan. I'm aware of Whedon stuff, and I've watched many Whedon things, but sometimes the dialogue and all that is just too snarky for me. So I don't know. It's just how I am. But I like the Avengers, not so much Age of Ultron. That was like Ultron should have been a more menacing, darker, AI robot attack kind of movie, but it was James Spader and a robot, doing the robot voice, and it was kind of like, whatever. That's just how I felt. And then Infinity War was like, okay, I'm jumping around. Spider Man, No Way Home, and Civil War. Civil War was a big deal. I like that one because basically is another Avengers film. And kudos to Marvel for figuring out how to make Ant-Man interesting. And Ant-Man, I really like Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. And then Wasp and Ant-Man was not as good, but Ant-Man was like, wow, totally. It was a comedy, heist movie. It was awesome. And then we got, so what else? Infinity War, basically with the Tom Holland Spider-Man, back up. Tom Holland Spider-Man was the awesome, uh, okay, sorry, let me back up. There was the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans. Andrew Garfield ones weren't as great, but because this wasn't all MCU, but you had to, as a fan, go see all the Spider-Man movies. But yeah, Tobey Maguire 1 and 2. 2 was like the best for me with the Doc Ock and whatnot. But 3, when we got the bully Maguire, whatever. But and then they just like shoehorned in Venom, and Venom movies aren't even a thing for me. I don't care about Venom. It's just he's goofy. So back to the MCU, the Infinity War. You got me with Infinity War because it was like Guardians of the Galaxy as well were in there. It was like the combination of everything. Chef's kiss, Thanos bringing in there, and then actually making you care about Thanos because he had, his point of view, which up until then, most of the MCU villains were like one note. They're in like the first 20 minutes or they're revealed at the end and they're done. Like Red Skull should have been in a bunch of movies. I don't know what happened there. And Loki was fine, but I never considered him to be the big MCU baddie either. But yeah, Infinity War was good. I really liked Infinity War and left you on a cliffhanger, which up until that point they really hadn't done. And then you came back with Endgame, which at that point you felt like they're shoehorning in things for franchises and narratives and agendas they want to go into or whatever. So it was kind of like and then I just kind of trailed off, but I still kept with it. And which leads me all the way to Captain America 4: Brave New World, which I still had to go see because it's kind of I'm not at the point of Star Wars, and I'll do a video on Star Wars where I have a total lack of interest now. But I was going to seeing everything Star Wars, and then that's how I am right now with the MCU, and it's getting there where I'm like, well, Robert Downey Jr. is Doctor Doom, and Doctor Doom is kind of my my go-to because I saw the Fantastic Four movies, even Fantastic or whatever you want to call it, Fanforstic. So I saw that one, but that Doctor Doom, forget it. They never did Doctor Doom justice. The Roger Corman one, it has its fans, but it's a little too cheeseball, low budget for me. But I didn't hate the ones with Jessica Alba as Invisible Woman, and those were fine. So yeah, those were good. MCU's had a very spotty past, but there was that solid 10 years before Infinity War, and after Endgame, yeah, we've gone back down to like and not. But here's the thing: I can go back and watch like Punisher and Blade and Fantastic Four and Ghost Rider with Nicolas Cage and all these random offshoots and stuff, but I can't really see myself going back and watching Shang-Chi or Eternals, even though, truth be told, I did try to give that one another go. And a bunch of others that came out. They don't even register in the memory bank because they're so forgettable. That's the problem. Deadpool and Wolverine was amazing. Like I said, these movies there's one in like a sea of mediocrity. But yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine stood out for sure. And that one, all the X-Men movies with, Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. Come on now. And so I'm a big fan of those. And then, yeah, Brave New World, we're back to where we were with the MCU after like Spider-Man No Way Home with the Doctor Strange, where it was like, oh, it, not to put too fine a point on it, is because when it's not in the MCU, it seems to stand out when it because Deadpool was kind of like the Fox buy-in, and then they just incorporated him in, and he brought with him the 20th Century Fox X-Men stuff, and also the Easter eggs and all that. If you hadn't seen Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm not going to spoil it, but a lot you know, come on, they have Funko Pops now. You should be able to find out who's in it. But yeah, it just felt like they brought it. The multiverse thing is a way to answer all the questions of like all these different versions of the characters and whatnot. And here we are heading for Thunder in the MCU. We're heading for like Disney Plus show Thunderbolts. I'll check it out. I'm not. This year's going to be really slow, so I'm going to check it out. And then Fantastic Four: First Steps with Pedro Pascal, and we'll see. I don't have a high. If Doctor Doom's in there, that might be worth it. Galactus, that kind of be cool, I guess. I'm down for it. I'll check it out. It's cool. I just don't have the highest hopes. Like I had this discussion not too long ago where it's like we used to get really hyped for the big movies and stuff. There's like Deadpool and Wolverine had that, but didn't have the big merch push. Didn't have the big marketing campaign. It was just kind of like the heart locket, and then if you knew, you knew, and then when you watched it, it was awesome. So that was cool. But I'd have to say that there's no big. It's just kind of feel like stale leftovers, and just like Star Wars, if they keep on this path and we don't get that like raw action, injection that just gets everybody hyped, it's going to go the way of Star Wars, and just not going to care anymore. But it's not my hope. I really like the MCU, just like I really like Star Wars. Like I like the event films. I like the low budget side offerings. It just seems like we've climbed to has to be high budget or nothing, and it's just we'll see where that goes. Anyway, that's today's rant for the MCU. I hope it gets better. I'll probably do a separate video for just Brave New World, really going down the line of what my issues were. So far, my biggest compliment I can give Captain America and Brave New World is that the popcorn bucket from the AMC theaters was awesome, and the merch, the push and the marketing was there. It's just the content was like, okay. So, all right. Till I see you next time. Stay rad.